like what like that to really cover Ken?
I'm gonna look way more casual to you guys than I should.
Please.
Hello people, I'm JABY KOAY. We're here in Las Vegas at CinemaCon. I'm joined by Tom Lucas, Vice President of Studio Relations for Fathom Events, and Ken Naz, President of Eros International of the Americas. How are you guys?
Very
Terrific.
good.
So you guys are pals, right?
We're pals.
Yeah. How long have you guys known each other?
When did we first meet?
It's been, we met about a year ago at an Indian film festival.
We had a fun time. We were on a panel together there.
Oh,
at the
wow.
Indian Film
Yes,
Festival.
yes.
Oh, cool. I'm gonna do something a little different than what I'm used to. I've got like my Tom Brokaw questions here.
All right.
My first one is Fathom Events has done screenings for a variety of classic Hollywood films and live events in the past. Why Bollywood and why now?
We've been doing classic films with GCM, Turner Classic Movies, with all the major U.S. studios for years, and we found that people really love to see the films on the big screen the way they were initially presented.
Yeah.
So our intention is, and simultaneously we've been monitoring the success of the Indian films as they come to the U.S.
Yeah.
We've seen a growing Indian population, growing box office, so we thought, hey, let's do the same thing, help the Indian studios monetize their library product and kick off a series. And we were fortunate enough to be able to partner with Ken and Eros International and Yash Raj Films.
Yeah.
I'm a theater guy. I've been in the cinema business for most of my life. There's
Like
no
30
way.
years you've been doing this?
Over 30 years.
Over
yeah.
30 years.
Yeah,
Jeez,
yeah.
wow, okay.
It's been a long time. To me, there's no other way to watch a movie than in the cinema.
Okay.
I mean, that is the way to see it.
Yeah.
Bollywood movies are very extravagant. They have a lot of colors and dancing and, you know, huge sets and all of that.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like the Hollywood movies from the 30s and 40s.
I feel that way too. Yeah, there's a classic feel to it that we don't get in the films in the States anymore.
And to me, you know, watching a movie on a television, smart TV, whatever it is, we do see it. I watch it. We all watch it.
Yeah.
But
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same as being in that dark room.
It's not the same.
It's an event when you go to the theaters.
That's exactly.
As opposed to, you know, on your iPhone or something.
You know what? I'm going to add one more thing about
Please.
Ken when I think about this. This is really, I think, important. We spoke to a bunch of the Indian studios. Everyone said, that's a great idea. Once you do it, come back to us. Ken said, that's a great idea. Let's do it.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
nice. How does Fathom select films to go into the series?
We're very selective. We're looking for the most iconic, entertaining, and influential films
Okay.
that we want to bring back to the big screen. And again, we're fortunate to have Ken's library, and Yash Raj also is contributing.
Yeah.
The first two films that we're going to be bringing to market star Shah Rukh Khan, who
Okay.
you know, big star power. They're epic
I've heard of him.
productions. Yeah, I've heard of him. Epic productions. They have been commercially successful,
Yeah.
and they've been critically acclaimed.
Okay.
And Ken can talk about all the awards Devdas has
Yes.
won.
So why Devdas? Like, how did you guys mutually agree on that? Like, that's the first one we should go out with?
We talked about a bunch of movies, and I felt, you know, when you have a vast library, you know, if you were to talk about, let's say, Hollywood movies, you know, somebody's going to say, well, there's so many great movies,
Yeah.
you know, Gone with the Wind, Casablanca, Godfather, all our favorites, and so on and so forth. So we have a huge library as well. And, you know, people ask, what are you talking about? There's so many top movies. Devdas was a movie that featured, you know, the biggest stars of India, the biggest director of India, Sanjay Leela Bhansali.
Wow.
The female star of the movie, Aishwarya Rai,
Okay.
who was Miss World. She's one of the most beautiful women in the world.
Yeah.
And this movie was also picked by Cannes.
So it makes sense.
It makes sense, you know, and it's a movie that everybody can relate to because it's kind of like it's like a Romeo and Juliet story.
Okay.
For India, it is definitely a great movie to watch on the big screen.
So it makes sense that like it has a special place in the hearts of Indians worldwide then.
Absolutely.
And Ken, we did debate this the first
We did
time.
debate this.
And we
did
looked
debate
at it, we said Devdas was the #1 box office hit when it came out in 2002. It won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress.
Everything.
I mean, it's really got all the
It's literally like the Indian
credentials.
Gone of the Wind in a way.
It's up there.
It's
Yeah.
correct.
All right, cool. Can we expect any special appearances at any of the Fathom Events screenings?
Yes, we don't just show the movies. We call them Fathom Events because there always is added value content.
Yeah.
And Ken He hasn't confirmed, but he has assured me we're going to have a very special introduction to the film that fans are going to love.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So you've been involved with Bollywood a really long time.
Yes.
Longer than most people who watch it today have been
Correct.
alive. How has it changed over the past 3 decades?
It's grown in many, many ways. Decades ago, it was the Indian producers and directors were literally only eyeing the Indian audiences.
Yeah.
And in India, people ask me, tell us a little bit about Indian movies. And I always tell them, there's 3 things in India that people live for. One is movies, cricket, and religion. And many times in that order.
Yeah, cricket and movies are always like...
They're always
you're not sure
like-
which one is more important to Indians at any given moment.
You said
Yeah.
it correctly.
Yeah.
But, so because, cricket happens, something, the movies happen all the time.
Yeah.
I can remember my mom, my dad, grandparents and all, they'd probably skip a meal, but make sure they go and watch. My mom especially,
Yeah.
they love movies. Because it was always known as an escapism entertainment.
Yeah.
What used to happen, it's still happening to some extent in Bollywood movies, they would cram a fantasy adventure into one movie. So, because, the country's, now it's changing, but it was poor country, third world country.
Yeah.
So when you have so many problems in your personal life, trying to get food for your family and all of that, and I'm going into the 50s and 60s and
Sure.
earlier than that. So you need something escape. So people would walk into this theater, you would see this fantasy adventure, this beautiful heroine,
Yeah.
this handsome guy. Then they have the same problems, he wants to marry her, but the parents are not,
Yeah.
And the entertainment was done in such a way, even the kissing was not allowed.
Right.
But so they would have, I could take my grandfather to the movie, I could take my son, 5-year-old son to the movie, I could take my wife to the movie, and I could take my sisters to the movie.
Right, it was for everybody.
It was for everybody
Yeah.
without being embarrassed.
Yeah.
If there was a scene on a television, if my mom and dad were sitting there, and if a certain scene came on a TV which was inappropriate, you'd see me walk up and
Yeah.
let me grab a glass of water and
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Like even today, if I watch a movie with my mom, I'm a grown up. My mom's a grown up. But even today, it's really awkward if there's like a sex scene in the middle of like you're watching this film with your
You're
parents.
watching,
It's weird.
It's weird,
You know?
So like, let me grab something from the fridge.
Exactly.
I'll see you in a minute.
Let me get away from this moment.
You got it. Or
Yeah.
come on, fast. Get
Okay.
it out of the way.
So where's Bollywood headed now? Are we going to see more like you said something key for
Yeah.
me, which is every Bollywood film has to have a musical number in it.
Yes.
But then you have filmmakers like Anurag Kashyap.
Yes.
Who are more
Yeah.
about realism.
Yes.
Do you think that's going to become more and more prominent in the market with the next few decades?
I think so because people ask me what's the main language in India, and I joke, it's a joke, English. Of course Hindi is, but everybody in cities and all of us speak English, or we call it Hinglish.
Hinglish, right.
The American movies are doing very well. They're getting exposed to it through television.
Sure.
Digital is playing a big part of it. So people are looking for good movies. They're looking for intelligent cinema also.
Mm-hmm.
So what I see happening in the near future, and it's already happening actually.
Yeah.
That they're putting some songs in, but some of them are kind of in the background, so you don't
Yeah,
have
I
this.
noticed that.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like the heroes, the guy or the girl is singing on top of a tree.
Right.
That's a big joke, right? I hear this all the
Right.
time. But now they're in this restaurant, and there's a beautiful song playing in the background.
Right. To just kind of help the scene along.
Absolutely.
As opposed to taking away from the.
You've got it. The other thing that they're doing, if you watch some of the movies, they're bringing movies of substance also. There's been some movies recently.
Well, Amir Khan is a good example of that.
It's a perfect
Yeah.
example of
Yeah.
that. Akshay Kumar has made, before it was strange that a 60-year-old or 50-year-old hero is playing like a 20-year-old guy.
Right.
It was like weird, and we all said it. Said, get this guy out of here.
Right.
It's like the father figure.
What is the fundamental difference between Hollywood and Bollywood, in your opinion? Like, what are like 3 differences or a few differences you might notice between the 2 forms of cinema?
It's interesting because I'm looking at it the exact opposite way. I'm looking at what are the similarities.
Okay.
When I look at Devdas and King and I,
Yeah.
both epic productions, both incredible music, all-star cast, I'm seeing and I think Ken just alluded to it, the crossover appeal.
Yes.
That these films are not just for people from India.
Yeah.
They really are epic productions.
You know, I relate to you in that way because oftentimes people will ask me what's the difference between Bollywood and Hollywood. That's why I asked you the question. But when I'm watching something, I'm looking for the similarities, what I identify with, just on a basic human level. Like, what do I identify with in this particular scene, situation, whatever?
The great storytelling,
Yeah.
the empathizing characters, that's all key.
But if there was a difference between the two, what would you pick up on?
Prices, budgets. You know, I just was over in Mumbai, and I was very surprised to see the price for a movie ticket is very low.
Yeah,
and
you're actually you're on something there. Bahubali was made for like 20 million or something like that.
Yeah, Bahubali was made.
It was made for like $20 million. Yeah. That's an epic movie over there, whereas over here in the States, it's like 200 million is nothing.
I have a very interesting story about Devdas, if I could share with you,
Sure.
and this is from that time. Devdas was sought after by a very major American Hollywood studio
Really?
to distribute at that time.
Okay.
I was sitting with a big executive,
Okay.
and we watched Devdas in Cannes. We were sitting, next to each other. So after the movie, he asked me a question. He goes, "What's the budget of this movie?" I said, "Before I answer this question,
What do you think it is?
What do you think is the budget of this movie?" He goes, "Well, the way I'm looking at it, it would have been 100 million plus."
Yeah.
That was his answer.
Yeah.
And I said, "It's somewhere between 12 and 14 million,
Wow.
And these are with biggest stars, with the biggest sets. And
Off of what you were saying, in terms of similarities, identifying similarities between Bollywood and Hollywood, what's the first thing that stood out to you as like, wow, that's just like here in the States? Like, I wouldn't have expected that.
I mean, Devdas, it's the epic production, the cinematography, the huge cast, the big music, a powerful movie on every front.
Yeah.
It really delivers.
So do you see any differences between Bollywood and Hollywood that stand out to you?
I'm going to quote a friend of mine from Hollywood. You know what's missing in Hollywood movies? I said, what? He goes, a button to cry. The Bollywood movies are a little bit more melodramatic.
Sure.
They're a little bit more, family oriented. They're a little bit more about relationships.
Sure. I've noticed that Bollywood can focus more on the relationships between characters, whereas Hollywood can be more plot driven. I have picked up on that. So for both of you, what has been a standout in your careers? Let's go with you first.
Let's go with you first. He's had an
You know what?
amazing
I've
career.
had a very fortunate career.
Okay.
I started, my first job was with a company called Warner Amex Satellite. We created MTV, and it just exploded. I was able to bring a number of other network brands to market. I actually worked here in Las Vegas for a while. I'm then at Warner Brothers, and now I'm with Fathom Events, which has been terrific.
Right.
So I don't know if I would have one standout. I don't think I realized how lucky I was when I got out of school and worked at MTV.
But you were part of the genesis of MTV
Yes.
then. So how does it feel to be part of something that's like fundamentally part of the American culture? Like, it's inextricable.
It was a terrific experience. I learned a lot.
Yeah.
The most basic thing I learned is if you have a good product and you have good marketing, you're probably going to be very happy. But sometimes bringing those together is
tough.
Is tough.
Yeah. How about for you?
I
know you got a lot of stuff.
I got a lot of stuff, but
Go with one.
I'm blessed. I love movies. I grew up with movies. My father, I grew up in Toronto, in Canada.
Okay.
Came as a child to Toronto. My father, it's a very long story. We'll just shorten it right out. He was an engineer who started the first Indian theater in Toronto and in North America.
Okay.
So I was very young at the time. I grew up. I can't think of doing anything else.
Sure.
And I've worked with companies like Cineplex Odeon in film, business developments. I've grown Eros to be, I was one of the first ones to open the Eros office in the United States. We're the ones instrumental in bringing the movies to AMC and all these other locations.
Okay.
So there's been a lot of highlights.
What has been the biggest challenge for each of you, like that you can think of, just in your careers? What has been the biggest challenge?
I think it's an ongoing challenge, no matter what you're doing, to always not just accept the status quo and to look for new ways to break the mold. And if you look back through history, people call them silver bullets. Ford had the assembly line. Chase had their database marketing. I think we are always looking for a new way to expand or break through the business. And that's what this
That's
Bollywood
exactly
series is for Fathom. We haven't done anything like it. No one's ever done anything like it. But we believe
Yes.
that it's going to work.
Biggest challenge for you?
My dream always is to get non-Indian markets, South Asian markets to come and see our movies.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing challenge,
Yeah.
and I work on that every day. It's a personal challenge. Big challenge also was to get these movies into the mainstream cinemas,
Okay.
which we achieved.
I have a question I love to ask people with a lot of experience.
Sure.
If each of you could go back and change one thing,
Oh.
what would that one thing be that you feel like could just like,
For me, being here in Las Vegas,
yeah.
I used to work here, and when I worked here, I had stock options that they had given me.
Oh, wow.
Well, let me tell you though.
Wow.
So the stock went up, so I sold my stock.
Oh, no.
6 months later, the company was bought out, and the stock price doubled. And I was always saying, I wish I could redo that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. How about you?
I can't think of anything other than in the business world, just getting the filmmakers to understand years and years ago to go after
To see your vision, basically.
to see my vision.
Yeah.
To see my vision.
Can we get a hint as to what's to come from Fathom Events and
Well,
this Bollywood
yeah.
series that you guys are doing?
In this arena, we are committed. Ken's got this huge library,
Yeah.
and we will work with other studios, so I can't give you any names of the films because we haven't locked them in, but
Yeah.
I can assure you they're all going to be the same mold. They're
Okay.
really going to be, again, we're looking for the most iconic, entertaining, influential films from India, and we believe they'll have a wide appeal here in the U.S.
So thank you guys for doing this. This was really awesome. You guys hopefully enjoyed this. I certainly did. It was educational for me. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out other reactions, reviews, short films, interviews, and video game related videos. I'm JABY KOAY. This is
Tom Lucas.
Ken Naz.
Peace out.